Hi. A few weeks ago, the magazine Time had an article beginning with a very interesting question. It was, is world peace possible? And and this question is so simple and in the same time um, makes us wonder, is it possible? And maybe especially for us people of faith, people who trying to follow the ways of Jesus the Christ, we call him the Prince of Peace. He taught us about showing the other cheeks and and not to retaliate and praying for enemies. um, Sometimes we're told, "Are you're deluding yourself? There's no such thing as nonviolence. There's no such thing as harmony among all every human beings. Is world peace possible?" Well, maybe the answer is based on the famous glass of water. If you look at half empty or half full, it would be difficult for some to believe in world peace when we just look about the 20th century and the beginning of this 21st century. All the wars, the genocides in Rwanda, the current war in Syria, and the two world wars in Europe, and mostly in Europe, and all those conflicts. And many will say, well, there's too many human beings, too much greed, too much passion. World peace will never be achieved. There are always going to be someone who will desire something that someone else has, or there are always going to be someone that will try to impose his or her will on other people or population. Some would say the glass is half full. No, it's not perfect, but they would say that we made a huge progress in the last few years, decades, and maybe century, with the creation of the International Court of Justice, and we have dictators and war criminal judge. They cannot flee and have a very cozy half of life with their millions. Also, a quote, or I think it's from the Dalai Lama, I'm not sure, but if you know, you can tell me, said that the fact that in a conflict right now we're talking and thinking of civilian, it's a huge improvement. Because just look at the Second World War. There was massive bombing over cities, and that was the way we were doing war. And we launched two nuclear bomb on Japan and killing civilian, and that's the way we were doing war. And now there's this huge reflection about, okay, we should not kill civilian, innocent civilian. That's most often are the first victims of those wars. Once again, it depends how we look at the question, and also, what is peace? That's a big question. And I like that in our Voices United number 683, if you're curious, there's a prayer called an affirmation of peace. It's from Oscar Romero, from Salvador, and it says, peace is not the product of the terror or fear. Peace is not the silence of the cemetery. Peace is not the silence of violent repression. Peace is the generous, tranquil contribution of all to the good of all. It is right and duty. And maybe reflection like these help us to understand that the glass is always full. To the eternal question, is the glass always half empty or half full? Some will say it's always full of molecules. And when it comes to world peace, I believe that the glass is always full of hope. And because we're reminded that peace it's not just a question if there's an open conflict or not. It's a way of being. It starts with us, it starts with inside of us. Are we at peace with ourselves? And then are we at peace with the people around us? And how do we live our life or value, interact with one another as an influence over this? Yes, to live our life peacefully will just this will most likely not solve the problem in Syria right now. But I still believe that the part of the world we're living in are we're making the world we're living in. We can have an impact in our among our friends, in our families, in our community. We will vote very soon for the federal election, and that also will have an impact. So I think world peace, I don't know. I don't know if it's possible, but it is a hope. It is an aspiration. It is a plan. I think we're all called to aspire, starting from inside of us and then living this and spreading this with all of those we're meeting. I think this is our call. I hope that you will find this inner peace this week and it will show to everyone you will meet this week and for the rest of your life. Have a great week. Take care of yourself. Talk to you soon.